We have always asked, what does it take to break the Hulk? Thanos couldn't do it. The Sentry couldn't do it. Even a god-killing meteor could not end him. But we were asking the wrong question. The terrifying truth isn't about how much damage the Hulk can take. It's about what happens when the damage comes from inside. What if the strongest Avenger isn't a hero, but a prison for something much, much worse? Today, we uncover the psychological horror that finally broke the unbreakable. For decades, we've been conditioned to think the answer is a punch, a bigger, stronger, more cosmic punch. In the Infinity Gauntlet saga, he stood against a godlike Thanos and was swatted aside, only to get right back up. We've seen Thor unleash storms that could level mountains, only for the Hulk to roar back angrier and stronger. It's a feedback loop of invincibility. The Hulk gets hit, the Hulk gets mad, the Hulk gets stronger. These aren't just taglines, they are the laws of physics in his world. But this predictability created a fascinating question. If a physical punch can't truly break him, then what can? The answer isn't a cataclysmic explosion, it's a quiet, insidious force, aimed not at his body, but at the very idea of who he is. The first clues were never physical, they were psychological. Villains like the Leader understood this early on. Why trade blows with a creature of limitless strength when you can attack the fragile mind trapped inside? Bruce Banner's intellect, his guilt, his trauma, these were the cracks in the armor. We saw attempts to resolve this, most famously with Professor Hulk, a supposedly perfect fusion. But it was never stable. It was a truce, not a peace treaty. Rage and trauma were always lurking beneath the surface. This wasn't a single explosive defeat. It was death by 1,000 cuts, a psychological war of attrition aimed at eroding his singular identity. But psychological games were just the warm-up. Marvel was about to take Bruce Banner to a place darker than death. Before we look at the aftermath, ask yourself, what happens when the Hulk stops healing and starts mutating? The unseen force that truly broke the Hulk was the complete annihilation of his core identity. During World War Hulk, we saw the World Breaker, the peak of his power. But after that rage was spent, the fall was catastrophic. This internal crisis reached its horrifying climax in Al Ewing's seminal Immortal Hulk series. Here, the personas were no longer just aspects of a mind, they were a system. The Savage Hulk, Joe Fixit, the World Breaker, and the terrifying Devil Hulk were all vying for control. The breaking point came from a forced, unnatural merging. He was no longer just Hulk Smash. He became a complex, horrifying chimera of personalities. When your strength comes from your anger, what happens when you no longer know who is angry or why? He had lost the one thing that made him unstoppable, a clear sense of self. This is where the story shifts from a superhero comic into pure cosmic horror. In the Immortal Hulk run, the writers did the unthinkable. They didn't just defeat the Hulk, they turned his own body into his worst enemy. You are about to see why immortality is actually a curse. The Hulk's body became a canvas for this internal horror. He couldn't be killed, but he could be dismembered, mutilated, and twisted, only to painfully reassemble himself. This physical body horror was a physical manifestation of his shattered psyche. He was no longer a solid titan, but a fluid, nightmarish entity. His relationships with other heroes changed. They weren't just afraid of a temper tantrum anymore. They were afraid of the monster he had become. He was a walking paradox, immortal but broken. When Thanos beat him, the Hulk knew what to do, get stronger. But here, who was supposed to get stronger? Banner? Joe? The Devil Hulk? He had lost something fundamental. He had lost his eye.
So, the force that broke the Hulk wasn't a weapon. It was the deconstruction of his own myth. Marvel transformed him from a force of nature into a deeply tragic figure, a being haunted by the ghosts of his own past selves, trapped in a body that refuses to let him die. But perhaps this brokenness is the birth of something new. This fractured Hulk is more unpredictable, intelligent, and terrifying than ever before. True power, it turns out, isn't about being unbreakable. It's about what you become after you've been shattered into a million pieces.